the conference.
And you're going to see a ton of guys play. Well over 20 Hoosiers play defensively. The strength to me is their secondary. They're willing to play man-to-man. Their linebackers cut it loose and play downhill. There is no question this group is the strength of this Hoosier team.
And Michigan finds itself in what became a familiar position against Michigan State, 3rd and long. And Milton's first throw down the sideline, and Cornelius Johnson couldn't get it. Jamar Johnson comes up with it for Indiana.
And this just speaks to the range and speed of this secondary. They are going to force Milton to push the ball to the boundary. Does he get a foot in bounds with this near interception here? I think that is going to be the key.
Yeah, the official ruling is incomplete, and that's the right call. Didn't have possession.
No question.
The team comes out.
But that's where they're going to ask Milton to push the ball and throw the ball. That's what Indiana is going to do schematically. They want to see if Milton can throw it 20 yards down the field and outside the numbers. Advantage Hoosiers on the first 3 and out.
It is Robbins the punter. They've shared the punting duties. Robbins and Hart. Takes a Michigan bounce all the way down inside the 30. So set to get our first look at this Indiana offense with a sophomore out of Tampa, Michael Penix Jr. 3 games off of the bench as a true freshman before he tore his ACL. He went 5-1 as a starter last year before the shoulder injury. The 1 game, 1 against Penn State, and then 4 touchdowns, no turnovers against Rutgers.
Well, Terry Bradshaw said on the Big Noon Kickoff he loves watching lefties. From Kenny Stabler to Michael Vick was the guy that Michael Penix watched growing up. And he's just a winner. He's 7-1, as you referenced. He's a gamer, and his guys believe in him because no matter the circumstance, he does not ever lose his poise.
First drive of the day starts at the 26-yard line. Penix looks to throw. He's given time. Here's Ty Freifogel left alone in the flats. Makes the cut and a big gain in the first play for Indiana. A gain of 20 yards to the 46. You know, it's interesting. Look at this Indiana offense. They're last in the Big Ten in rushing. They're last in the Big Ten on 3rd down, but they're 3rd in scoring. They're perfect in the red zone, and they've taken advantage of a lot of takeaways.
Yeah, and there are some moving parts up front, some challenges there on their offensive line as well. Got a stud running back in Scott. Penix makes a go, and watch for Wap Fillier in the slot as well.
He's the man in motion here. They give it to Fillier into the short side of the field. They're able to get a couple. Against this Michigan defense, it's been top 25 in the country all 4 years that Don Brown has been the defensive coordinator, but they got shredded, didn't they? That young secondary got shredded by Michigan State.
No question. I still love their ends, Pay and Hutchinson. That's the biggest concern for the Hoosier staff as well. Got to block those guys on the edge. But they will take their shots and test this secondary, and we'll see just how much man-to-man Don Brown wants to play this afternoon.
There were some questions about the status of a couple of Michigan defenders. Both Cameron McGrone and Michael Barrett are in there after leaving last week's game with injuries. On 2nd and 8, Penix hits Scott, and that is a huge open field tackle made by Barrett. If he doesn't get Scott, he may be headed for the end zone.
A couple snaps here of some zone. I know every Michigan fan is going to be very curious to start here. How much man versus zone? Well, you can see that this is just a beautiful open field tackle as you reference there, and I think you're going to see Don Brown mix it up a little bit more in coverage. And I think on this side, you're going to watch Michael Penix do his best in that staff to see exactly what they're getting with all these check with knees.
First 3rd down of the day for Indiana. Wolverines showing pressure. On 3rd and 5, out of the backfield again, it's Scott. Right to the sticks. McGrone pushes him out, but he gets a first down.
Well, that is man-to-man, and typically 3rd and 5 or less, you get man coverage, and you've seen now a couple different times picking on the flat. Don Brown knows that's his linebacker, McGrone, that's got to get over the top through some of that traction. He cannot, and the Hoosiers move the chains, something the Wolverines could not do offensively.
Penix has completed his first 3 on 1st and 10. He'll throw it again. Another efficient toss. It's Fillier. Wap Fillier fights his way for close to a first down. America is being robbed because they don't get to hear Wap Fillier mic'd up. This guy is amazing.
Yes, he is. And you see just how quick that ball gets out of Michael Penix's hands, and Wap is his guy. And after talking to him yesterday, I think we can see why. He has energy just personified. He's everything you want. He never tires, says his teammate He's a lot of fun.
Single favorite player interview I've done. Another pass play. He gets rid of it just in time. It's through the hands of Marshall, who comes back from missing last week with a concussion. Coverage from Jamon Green, and it's 3rd and short.
And when Penix misses, this is his miss. Got a little bit of a low delivery at time. That's a ball that you would love to see Marshall come down with. That's just that one-on-one coverage. We got an injury on the field as well. But those are the throws, really on both sides of the equation. For Indiana, can they hit and win, as Sparty did a week ago on the perimeter? And you're going to see the Hoosiers, trust me, over the course of the afternoon, ask Milton to make those same kind of throws.
It's Aiden Hutchinson, captain of this defensive line, down. Get this trivia question right. I don't think I would. Who is the Big Ten's active leader in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns? It's this junior out of Syracuse, New York.
Who's done it every year. Over 1,000 yards as a true freshman. 2nd team all-conference last year. Mike Hart, the former great Wolverine running back's done a phenomenal job in his development. And watch him hit pass pro as well. The kid is fearless.
Yeah, they say he's really become a complete back. We've seen him make a couple catches on this first drive, and so good in pass pro. He's got it straight ahead here. Crashes forward for a gain of 4 with a stop from Luigi Valane.
Well, I'll tell you what you're seeing. Michigan wanted the ball, right? Jim Harbaugh wanted the ownership to take the ball and to march it down the field and get a sense of control. The inverse has happened. A 3 and out. Indiana setting the tone. And then really a beautiful job of mixing it, getting the ball out of Penix's hands. Some interior run game. And that interior run game sets the play action where the Hoosiers are most dangerous.
2nd and 6. Penix finds the crosser. It's Ty Freifogel for an Indiana first down. That's a concept the Hoosiers love to run.
Yes, it is, and that's some zone coverage, right? They love this concept. It's a mesh concept, just kind of shallow crosses because you're anticipating some man coverage. And right now you're seeing Michigan not just get beat in the man, but actually in some of that zone, which is not what Tom Brown wants to play.
First down from the 18. Off play action. Penix floating end zone and incomplete. With the coverage coming from Vincent Gray, who Michigan State went after time and time again, and eventually Michigan pulled him from the game in the second half.
And they feel like Vincent Gray can play, that it was just a rough afternoon. He gets beat off of the snap, but you see him continuing to fight and dig and claw. Maybe gets away with a little tug of that right arm that he did not get away with 1 week ago.
2nd down and 10. A free play for Indiana. End zone shot again. It's pulled in, but out of bounds. Peyton Hendershot, the tight end, made a great catch. He was out of bounds. There was a flag down to begin the play.
And I love this. Go right after that corner. There is just no grace in college football. If you get picked on the week before, you see him out of bounds.
Offside. Defense number 18 was in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
It's actually really close,
yes,
wasn't it? It was out of bounds when he hits the pylon, though, so he'd have to reestablish himself inbounds before making the catch. And didn't, so 2nd and 5. Well, they got him drawn off again. To the end zone again. Miles Marshall for the Indiana touchdown. Well, they're excited about getting him and his size back, and his 6'4", he put it up there where only he could get it.
Wasn't hard to watch a game tape from a week ago and see where you were going to challenge and test these Wolverines. You saw it against Gray a couple times on the other side. That time, Jamon Green is just in one-on-one coverage, and it's simply ball awareness. It's Miles Marshall saying, it is my turn. I'm going to go get it. And what an incredible drive for the Hoosiers to come out. Something they've not done, Joe, through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2-0, and most things have gone right, but slow starts have been a part of both of those wins, especially for Michael Penix. Started the Penn State game 11 for 27. Started the Rutgers game 3 for 10. But on this opening drive, he goes 6 for 8 with a touchdown to Miles Marshall. And the 13th ranked Hoosiers in front 7-0 as Marshall goes over the top of Green to begin the scoring in Bloomington. Second Michigan drive begins with a toss to the freshman Blake Corum, who lowers the shoulder and gets a few. One of 4 running backs that Michigan will play today, and already after 2 games is becoming a focus of the opposition.
And he is the quickest. And I think you're going to see more of him and the other freshman receiver, Roman Wilson, as well. They got to find big plays. Could not get that going, could not really stretch the field a week ago. A real point of emphasis. And Corum, the former Maryland, Virginia Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year, is their most dynamic back.
I understand you get into mixed up with like 48 Players of the Year. He loses yards this time, and it's Tywan Mullen, or it's Reese Taylor, coming up from his DB spot to make the tackle.
These corners are flat out, scrappy, nasty. They have their eyes into the backfield. Look at it. He knows what is coming. He's anticipating. There's really nothing the freshman Wilson can do there. And I know why you said Mullen, because he's their 3rd leading tackler, but every one of these secondary defenders an integral role in that run defense.
A lot of talent, a lot of experience back there. They got torched by Michigan last year. Shea Patterson threw for 366 yards and 5 touchdowns, but most of that went to targets no longer on the Wolverines. 3rd and long again. Joe Milton steps up. He'll take off, needing the 35. He's not going to get it. Spilled after a gain of about 10. That time it was Mullen. And quickly 4th down again.
And that's just smart football. That's a 3-man rush, right? It's 3rd and 14, and you're going to trust the overall speed and just savviness of your defense and say to Joe Milton, you don't have any windows to throw, and go ahead and scramble, but we're going to have back-to-back 3-and-outs to begin the game defensively. That was really the challenge a week ago against Michigan State as well. Those 3rd and extra long situations are so difficult for a young QB and young offense to convert.
Second punt already for Robbins. Taylor with a fair catch. Back of the 20. A pair of 3-and-outs for Michigan. Indiana with a touchdown on its first drive. Back to the field when you come back. Starting this drive from the 20. March down the field, scored a touchdown on their first possession. This ball's batted down by Christopher Hinton, and it's 2nd down and 10.
Just feels like somebody at Michigan has got to step up. Right when Coach Harbaugh talks about accountability, everybody owning it. That's a nice job by Hinton of getting his hands up on that stunt. But somebody defensively, you can't wait for your teammate to go and change the temperature. You've got to be the one to go make the play and pull the trigger.
Second and 10. 3rd time they've swung it outside to Scott. Short gain this time, brought down by Michael Barrett, and it's 3rd down for Indiana.
Yeah, they're wearing that play out, aren't they? They just want to get the ball, I think, to Scott outside of the mess, outside of those linebackers and edge players, and really challenge Michael Barrett, the converted quarterback out of high school for Don Brown. See if he can tackle that big back in the backfield. He sure has a couple times.
Well, neither one of these teams feels great about its offensive line, and so maybe trying to stay away from, like you said, that mess in there. Indiana converted both its 3rd down tries on the first possession, which is progress for them.
You can see that bunch formation at the top. That is man-to-man coverage.
Looking in that direction, heaving to the sideline, and broken up by Vincent Gray, who's been searching for something to feel good about. Makes a nice break in the ball to make it 4th down.
And you can see he was right in his chest, his head coach, because he knows that's the play the young guy got to make. that when you're inexperienced out there, and I said on that last touchdown, you can't wait, you can't sit and just count on an incomplete or an overthrow. You've got to go thrive. You got to go attack the ball. That's beautifully done, and a much-needed 3-and-out from the Wolverines.
They lost Lavert Hill. They lost Ambry Thomas, and so they knew corner was going to be a big question. Got exposed last week. Good high spinning punt from Hayden Whitehead. And a fair catch taken back inside the 25. Michigan's offense trying to get things going. Joe Milton and the Wolverines back out there after this break. They get it back at their own 22. Joe Milton looks to throw on first down. Incomplete out in front of Cornelius Johnson. And took a hit as he let it go.
Oh, he's going to take hits today. Indiana rushes their linebackers as much as anybody in America. Will drop their ends a ton, but they feel like their pass rushers, their best are actually their 4 inside linebackers, and Milton's going to be staring that down all day, especially with moving parts in front of him. A true freshman right guard having to start. Both starting tackles are out today. Continue to expect a lot of pressure from Indiana in that front.
Throw it again on second down. Well protected this time. Coverage downfield is good. He throws on the move and has a first down to Ronnie Bell, who's to the 45, where he's tossed down by Matthews. You're talking about that offensive line. You've got Zach Zinter at right guard, the first true freshman to start on the offensive line for Michigan in 4 seasons, and combined 8 career starts for this group. And that's going to be tough any week, but you're talking about how complex and difficult a scheme it is to figure out that they're facing from Indiana.
No question, and that's why I like Milton outside that pocket. You've got to mix it. I know that was a scramble, but I like to see him on the move.
Chris Evans. It's a short game. Micah McFadden with a tackle for the Hoosiers.
And Milton is a big man. And, you know, he's rushed for 50 yards in both games. First time in some time for Michigan at that position, and at 250 pounds. And you could just sense it. He's a physical guy. He likes to play the game. He doesn't mind taking hits. He's done a wonderful job with ball security. No turnovers for this Wolverine offense this season. But I'd like to see Josh Gaddis continue to utilize him outside that pocket, especially with the inexperience up front today.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 22. He threw a punch. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. By rule, number 22 is ejected.
That is a huge deal. Jamar Johnson, one of the best players on this defense, has been thrown out of this game.
I just don't get that. I mean, we have seen it the last few weeks. Tom Allen was talking to us how much he loves Jamar, but how he's got to be on point. He's got to be attention to detail, and that is simply letting your emotions in a big moment get the best of you and hurts your secondary tremendously.
This is a Big Ten Player of the Week against Penn State. Played even better against Rutgers. Going over the top against that secondary on the next play. Cornelius Johnson, bang, just like that. The Wolverines take advantage. And Cornelius Johnson gets his first touchdown of the season.
And what a sweet, sweet call from Coach Gaddis to go at that safety that is just squatting and sitting, the post route right behind him. And as you said, a tremendous job of using your hands. You don't wait for the football. Jalen Williams is an excellent corner. You got to go up and get it. And that's exactly what Cornelius does on, frankly, Joe Milton's best deep ball of the season.
It's only his second completion and a pass 20 or more yards down the field.
Who's going to make a play? Get in that huddle. Who is going to step up? What a response on that drive.
And the answer this time is Cornelius Johnson, the sophomore out of Connecticut. Really the only tied at 7. As Taylor goes back to return this kick. Indiana to start at the 25. Later today on Fox, Chuba Hubbard, who ran for almost 300 yards the last time he faced K-State, faces him again, 4 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Who could bounce back? We were in Stillwater for that just gut punch in overtime a week ago. K-State gets throttled. Freshman quarterback. Lights look big. Game got moving awfully fast. Game of response and bounce back, which is really what Michigan did on that last drive, and now it's Michael Penix's shot to get back in that ring and throw his punches.
Drive begins at the 25-yard line. Scott. McGrone brings him down a short gain. Well, his running backs coach is the former Wolverine star, the all-time leading rusher at Michigan, Mike Hart. And those guys have a particularly close relationship, both Syracuse, New York natives. So you've got Hart, who is the running backs coach. The coordinator for Indiana is former Michigan walk-on quarterback Nick Sheridan. Aiden Hutchinson for Michigan. We saw him leave with an injury on the first possession. On 2nd and 9, Penix against pressure gets rid of it for a first down. Wap Fillier to the 38 with a stop from Makari Page.
Boy, that ball just comes out in a hurry, doesn't it? Look at this. I think it looks a little bit like Tua Tagovailoa, to be honest with you. At no point does that elbow ever get near the shoulder. It is a flick of the wrist. He admired and loved watching Michael Vick as a youngster, and this guy can sling it. I mean, the RPMs, especially in the middle of the field, and they crank up when he flicks that ball out of his hand.
Looking to throw it on first down here. Lofting down the sideline for Henderson, but it's off his hands. Drops have been an issue for both of these teams. Henderson not immune to him. A ball that he's got to pull in.
Yeah, and that's disappointing for Peyton. Set records a season ago in receptions just off the fingertips. You can see he's beating the Viper linebacker Barrett. I mean, that's a one-on-one matchup they like. They get everything they want. They just can't dial it in.
So 2nd and 10. To the air against pressure. He's got one-on-one. Back shoulder throw. It is pulled in by Ty Freifogel. What a catch against Vincent Gray for a gain of 36.
Sometimes football can be fairly complex, and sometimes it can be really simple. That is a one-hander. That is something these kids are working on more and more and more. Thank you, Odell Beckham. You led that way and trained about a decade ago. That's what they work on in drills, and there is no question you see the mindset today. Go after the edges of this defense.
But Michigan has been antsy up front on that hard cow. A couple of free plays already for Indiana. On first down from the 31, back to the ground, it's Scott. Got hit in the backfield by McGrone and never could get started. Josh Ross, Michigan's leading tackler, finished him off.
You're absolutely right. Just 3-4 times in this first quarter, you see Michigan trying to get off the ball. Right, and I think that defensive line knows they've got to get home. They've got to aid that secondary and help their corners on the outside by trying to get in the face of these quarterbacks. Certainly a commitment to that. When you see so many guys on that side, Joe, you know that was coached all week to try to get off the ball fast.
Looks to throw again, given all kinds of time. He'll dump it off. Miles Marshall, who's got the touchdown, has 5 yards here, and it's 3rd down. I mean, Michigan's corners took a lot of heat for last week, the secondary as a whole. But to your point, they didn't have a single sack, and the defensive line is supposed to be the biggest strength of this team.
Yeah, when your 4 can't beat 5 and you're a man team, it is a difficult existence.
3rd and 3 for the Hoosiers. There they go again. It's another free play, and so an end zone shot. Up top, and caught, touchdown. Freifogel's got it, and both Indiana touchdowns have come on free plays.
Offside. Defense number 44. The penalty is declined. The result of the play is a touchdown.
Actually, I'll just say it again, and I know Charles Woodson is watching this game, and he's like, man, you're there now. Go find the football. Right? You're hip to hip. But as a DB, man, you have got to be able to go and attack the football. Green's been picked on. Gray's been picked on. The D-line is itchy and antsy. And I think, unfortunately, a nightmare recurrence of what happened a week ago.
Freifogel already with his 4th catch, 82 yards, couple of big ones on this drive. Extra point added, and Indiana is right back in front. Fun start to this one. A top 25 matchup in the Big Ten. Penix with a couple of touchdown throws, and it's 14-7 Indiana.
That confidence to push the ball down the field. But look at Gaddis.
Drive begins with a deep drop. Another downfield throw into a tight window and incomplete behind Roman Wilson. Matthews and Taylor combining in coverage, and it's 2nd and 10.
What makes these Hoosiers, Joe, so hard to throw against is their corners. Their safety's a good player, and they're going to miss Johnson, but it's really the 3 corners, Taylor, Williams, and Mullen, because their eyes are just constantly looking at you as a quarterback. And it makes you a little nervous to throw those shots down the field.
You know, it's interesting talking to Tom Allen about the secondary. Most of these guys were corners in high school. He figures, let's get guys that we know can cover, and the bigger ones, and move them to safety. Charbonnet's first touch. Burrows forward to 4-5, and it'll be 3rd down against Wamek's defense. 33 years old, the youngest Power 5 defensive coordinator. This is a staff that has a lot of fun, very youthful staff. You've got Wamek, who's 33, Sheridan on the offensive side, 32. And he's got his defense clicking.
And I sure loved talking to him yesterday. And look, he's waiting to make his call. He is waiting and waiting and waiting. They don't make calls based on personnel. They call it based on formation, which is why you can look at the entirety of that Hoosiers defense still looking to the sidelines based on formation will dictate this call.
On 3rd and 5, they bring 5. It's picked up, giving Milton time, but it's incomplete as he tried to thread it through to Jackson. And Tywon Mullen broke it up 4th down.
Yeah, just too late. Right, as much as you love that post route, here again is the journey of a young quarterback, and this ball woefully late and behind, nearly interception. But that's where Joe has got to read, right off the snap, that pre-snap read, and then instantly get to your post-snap. You know it's zone. You've got an open receiver past the sticks. That one's got to be plant and throw. Some hesitation, some inaccuracy, and another punt for the Wolverines.
Yeah, 3 3-and-outs out of the first 4 drives for the Wolverines, and Robin sends it away. Taylor signals for a fair catch, and juggles and pulls it in, and they blow it dead. So the Indiana offense comes back out. Michael Penix, 12 of 17, already 2 touchdowns.
Looking like Rocky Lombardi from a week ago, right? Just playing pretty free and easy, getting the ball out for some easy completions. Love that play calling by Nick Sheridan on the opening drive. And then they're going to take their shots. They're going to go after these corners. We'll see whether or not Michigan will finally adapt, whether we'll see Jalen Perry, the 3rd corner that we saw a week ago. I mean, eventually, right, he's on pace now to throw for 500 plus. So, I mean, eventually you've just got to ask yourself defensively, how much can we stick to what we love to do, the essence and DNA of our defense, and at some point protect the vulnerabilities of that defense, which is out on the perimeter.
Samson James, it's 5. But they gave up a bunch of big plays against Michigan State, 10 of them of 15 yards or more, already 3 of them today. And you said what they love to do, right? This aggressive defense with a man-to-man coverage. Not just love to do, but have done it at an elite level since Don Brown got there. They're a top 10 pass defense in the country all 4 years that Don Brown has been there.
He told us, I don't want to morph into something I don't want to be. But at some point, eventually, and you see him right there, right in the face of Vincent Gray, the corner, eventually, you got to ask yourself, what can my guys do and not do?
End of the first quarter as Indiana tries to beat Michigan for the first time since 1987. 14-7. Third down.
That was a nice play by Upshaw in the middle. Indiana also not running the ball. Right, just 18 yards, 16 yards for them on the ground in that first frame as well. It's all been about the home run shots on the perimeter.
Indiana's hit just a few more. Michigan hit one for its lone touchdown. Michael Penix already 136 yards and 2 scores. There's that hard clap that's had Michigan jumping all over the place. 3 offsides penalties in the first quarter. In fact, both Indiana touchdowns came on free plays thanks to those. 3rd and 6. Penix retreating, hitting a crossing Fillier, and Fillier gets pulled down by Daxton Hill, which keeps him from getting a first down.
And I like this Hill guy. I think he's got a chance to be super, super special. 5-star kid coming out of high school down there at Booker T. Washington in Oklahoma. You may remember his brother Star, running back Justice Hill for those Cowboys, and he's got the quicks, man. When you're covering those little slot receivers and you know what you're going to get, you're going to get them trying to run away from you. You have to have elite quickness and then bring Whop Fillier down. That's exactly what Hill does. Well done.
Not an easy thing to do. Whop Fillier led the league in yards after catch last year. And if he had gotten just a couple, would have extended this drive. Instead, it's Whitehead. This time a short punt. Takes a good Indiana bounce. Jackson picks it up. There is a flag down as Jackson goes out the back door, loses the football, but they say that he's down. Flag is back around the 43. Is that Ben Mason saying, it's my ball, not you have to pry this from my grip?
And you're not going to get it from him.
Nope.
No.
Is a big, strong man. Injured Indiana player.
During the return, during the kick, holding, return team number 5. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down.
The penalties have been an issue for both of these teams. That's just a second on Michigan. It is Deshaun Brown. Inverted quarterback, receiver for Indiana, helped to his feet. Michigan ready to go back on offense in a 14-7 game. 4 drives. We had the long touchdown throw on one of them, 3 and out on the other 3.
Yeah, and I think some of that is a function of what you've got up front. Right, just some of the vast inexperience. Only now 8 combined starts out of everybody that Coach Gaddis is running out there up front. But you've got to take and alleviate some of the pressure off number 5 by getting some semblance of run game, some jet sweep, some outside run. You just can't play between the tackles against this group.
They start on the ground. HarL'son Haskins, who probes his way through there on his first carry of the day and gets close to a first down. He's the leading rusher for the Wolverines, 138 yards coming in. But, I mean, they got 4 guys between 8 carries and 14 carries on the year.
And he's just their pro. Right, they use him in the Wildcat a little bit unsuccessfully last week, but he's just he's in the right spot. He gives you everything. He's probably their best between the tackles, just back right now, physical kid. Got to mix that run in.
Back-to-back carries for him, spinning his way into a little bit of space before he's cut down by McFadden. Micah McFadden inside of this Indiana defense, leading tackler for the 2nd consecutive season. And Tom Allen, the head coach, says this guy is as tough and tenacious as any player we've got.
Yeah, you know how I love to just set up the questions of who's your toughest guy, whether it's a fight, a brawl, a ring. And when a coach doesn't hesitate for a second, and it was almost before I could even finish, Tom Allen's like, yeah, Micah, period. End of story.
What was your tee up? A cage match?
Yeah,
before the
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Who you picking? He went McFadden. Here's the bootleg. Milton gets hit as he throws, and a first down as he finds Ronnie Bell. Bell's 2nd catch of the game goes for a dozen. And a nice job by Milton standing in there with the tackler and the pressure bearing down.
And guess who it was? It was 47. It was that linebacker right at him, and that's the advantage of 6'5", 245. You can take that blow. You're bigger than Micah McFadden that is barreling down on you, and actually it's McFadden who's holding that arm running off after trying to deliver that blow.
First down from the 41. It is Haskins again with nowhere to go. That submarine by the coach's son, Thomas Allen, who came into the game for McFadden, old high school teammate of his down at Plant High School in Tampa, Florida.
battled some injuries. He's had to run the scout team a little bit, whatever is asked. Just an unselfish crew here. But really, when you look at this roster, Joe, it is so loaded with juniors. I'm going to bring back nearly everybody on this defense next year to be seniors. But guys that are bought in, they know their role, and they know this scheme inside and out.
On 2nd and 9, facing pressure. Confident throw, but off the hands of Henning. Matthews hit him as the ball got there. 3rd and 9 coming up.
You say confident because that ball just explodes.
Yeah, man.
It just explodes for both of these quarterbacks. But it is about accuracy. And that is a ball that, yes, Henning can catch. You'd love to see him try to go up and get it, the true freshman himself. But it's also one that Milton's got to learn to try to put on that chest plate when the safety's barreling down to hit your receiver.
That's something that he's been working on, those second-level throws. Pressure again on 3rd down, lets it fly, nobody home, and it's 4th down. A miscommunication between Milton and Wilson. So Joe Milton 3 for 9 to start the game, and the punt team comes out.
Yeah, and I think Milton's probably right on that. The true freshman corner's got to read man or zone, right? It's one of those concepts, and that was clearly man-to-man coverage. Milton expecting him to continue on that inside fade. The true freshman Wilson pulls up on it. It's yet another punt. I mean, the positive is they're not turning it over, Joe, which has been the theme really all season. Every drive is ending in a kick. It's just not the one you want.
Taylor takes this one to the 16. It's a block. Turns the corner. There's a flag down as Taylor takes it to the 40.
I think that was the coach's son. Unfortunately, that block right into the back of the Wolverine. Let's see it here.
Pretty easy call for the officiating crew.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Return team number 44. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 1st down. Timeout.
14-7, Hoosiers in front midway through this 2nd quarter. Michael Penix and the Hoosiers beginning from the 12. Stevie Scott into the arms of Christopher Hinton. Beg your pardon, Quiddy Pay with a tackle. And it's 2nd down.
And that's a win. I mean, that is what you're looking for to avoid the 3rd and extra long situations, is just stay on schedule with a 4 or 5 yard run, because that will set up the movement. That will set up the RPO game. Everything else that Nick Sheridan likes to do in this system.
Over the middle, there's Freifogel having a huge first half. 1st down to the 30.
And that's just a great call. That is a zone beater, right? This is just a little in route. Really good protection up front, right? No Aiden Hutchinson, so it just allows Penix to just stand in there. But there's the challenge of being a zone team as well, right? You want to play zone so you don't expose those corners. But when you don't live in it, when it's not the nature of what you do, very difficult to be sticky in your zone coverage as well.
Fillier comes in motion. They flip it to him. Whop Fillier. Nowhere to run. He's angled out of bounds by Brad Hawkins. Loses a little bit. There is Nick Sheridan. He's promoted from tight ends coach, with Kalen DeBoer leaving to become the head coach at Fresno State. And it was DeBoer's recommendation that helped Sheridan move into that spot at just 32 years old.
Yeah, just a little bit surreal because he used to wear the other uniform. Started 4 games there at Michigan. The former walk-on worked his way up. There's something about those former walk-ons, Joe, that understand grit and what it takes, and so many of them become future coaches, and my expectation that guy will be a head man somewhere someday.
He's got the acumen too. His dad, Bill, 35-year coaching veteran. He's at Air Force right now. Penix gets rid of it just in time. That pressure was coming quickly. Carlo Kemp, most experienced player on this Michigan defense, drove him down.
Yeah, this is an awesome stunt right here. You're going to see just a TE stunt on your right side here. And that's going to get into the face of Penix, and then Carlo wraps around the other side as well. That's the group that has to win. Everybody can talk about man or zone or anything else, but it's going to start, if this is going to turn around for Michigan defensively, it is going to start with those 4 horses up front making a difference.
One of the first 3rd and longs Indiana has faced. 3rd and 12. And the hard count works again. It's the 5th free play. It's incomplete, but then another flag. They're going to get Jamon Green, it looks like, for pass interference. And it is ugly right now for Don Brown and his defense.
And it's been every one of your defensive linemen, Joe. And this one is Carlo Kemp, your D tackle, that is looking at the ball.
Normally those claps are to cut through a very loud stadium, but it's a very distinct clap when it's in an empty stadium.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both against the defense. Offside. Defense number 2 was in the neutral zone at the snap. That penalty is declined. Prior to the pass, holding. Defense number 22, 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, they were called for 4 penalties against Michigan State. The corners were, and Green gets called for 1 here.
I mean, you just have to watch a football. I mean, if it happens once, it's one thing, Joe. That's been 5 different times today, and there you just see the reaching and grabbing. I mean, that is too obvious, and you never let go. That back judge is looking at you the entire way.
So it gives him a first down on what was 3rd and 12. Here's Marshall behind him and incomplete. An opportunity for Hawkins to get a pick, but he couldn't hang on, and it's 2nd and 10.
And there's a little bit of the inexperience on the other side. Remember, Penix is just making his 9th start, and you feel like it's invincible, right? You feel like at times, hey, man, I'm just going to throw it up, and my guys are going to go get it. But that one, a play-action pass late. Very fortunate. Hawkins, the safety, could not reel it in.
4 touchdowns, just 1 pick this season for Penix, who in high school had 61 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions at Tampa Tech. Originally committed to Tennessee, flipped to Indiana. Here he is as a redshirt sophomore, a budding star. Handed it off on 2nd down and nowhere to run. Quiddy Pay, the 2-time All-Big Ten defensive end, with a tackle for loss on Stevie Scott.
This is what you call teaching tape right here. Get your hands onto that offensive tackle, and it is over. That is a push and a pull, and I'm going to throw 315 pounds right out of my way and make the play.
3rd down 11. Another one for Indiana, another 3rd and long. You got to go to that hard clap, don't you? Time to snap it on the first clap. Penix steps up into a tight window for failure. Somehow knifes it through there for a first down completion of 22 yards.
And I'll say it again, for those of you that just want to scream at Don Brown to play zone defense, well, this is zone. This is 2 deep zone, and you can't throw it any better. Look at the window between the 3 Michigan defenders in front of the safety, behind your Viper and middle linebacker. Challenge.
From the 40, looking up top. He throws incomplete off the mark for failure.
A little miscommunication between those 2, and he's saying the same thing with that coverage. I expected you to do X, but this is where you find yourself in a conundrum. The essence of what you do, and Tom Allen knows it on the other side for Don Brown, is to play man. But you get 2 3rd and long situations, Joe, and you can't get off the field. One, you kill yourself with penalties. The other, you just not sticky in your zone. And Tom Allen and the Hoosiers have control in this one.
Four receivers into the near side for Michael Penix. Swings it out to Whop Phillier. He takes Vincent Gray for a ride, and a gain of 6, and it's 3rd down.
It just feels like a big 3rd down. Just with the ebb and the flow of this game, this possession in particular. right, for Don Brown and his crew defensively. And I'll say it again, who is going to be the difference maker?
Well, Indiana came in, Brock, one of the worst third down teams in the country. They've gone 4 for 6 today. And it's not been because they've been in third and short.
That's what I think. This is almost 4 down territory for me as a play caller.
Only a 4-man rush. Still able to get penetration, and an errant throw makes it 4th down. 4th and 5. Are you still going for it? Get anything there.
How confident do I feel in my kicker? And just a glorious, beautiful day probably plays a role as well. And looks like they're going to try to kick it.
Well, the answer to that question, how confident do they feel in their kicker? Pretty darn confident. Charles Campbell is a Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week. He's 7 for 7 in his career. This would be a new career long for him. Officially 52 yards. Hits it well, down the middle, with plenty. How about Charles Campbell? Native of Jackson, Tennessee, drilling a career long from 52.
4 down territory.
Yeah, when you got Charles Campbell, get that out.
Why do you hate kickers?
Indiana extends the lead. Now the 52-yarder from the sophomore. Halfway point of this second quarter. This top 25 matchup starting the day on FS1. Returnable for Giles Jackson, who took one back as a freshman last year. Giles Jackson spins his way loose for a moment, then pays the price at the 25-yard line, and that's where Joe Milton of Michigan will start this drive. Still searching for some rhythm. Really hadn't mattered if it's been downfield or short. He's 3 for 9.
Yeah, but pushing it down the field has been the challenge. 1 of 9 coming into today, and it was the game plan for the Hoosiers defensively. They were going to make him push the ball. And I would say, if I'm Josh Gaddis, I'm Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh knows he needs to get his QB into rhythm. Where are some gimmies? Where's a screen? Where are just some plays to get the ball out and get into a little bit of rhythm? Because right now he's getting hit. Right now everything feels forced and difficult.
Start with a straight-ahead run, Hassan Haskins, who gets 2. I mean, the thing is with this Michigan offense, the strength is supposed to be the speed of the skill guys, so just give it to them and see what they can do.
A little jet sweep, a little bit of what we saw week number 1, right, against Minnesota, where Josh said, yes, it was pretty easy for Joe. Everything was there. The first read was there. All the, the spreading the ball around, the point guard play. To me, you got to get the ball in the perimeter. You've got to get it out of your quarterback's hands and see if Indiana can tackle you, put little guys in space.
2nd and 7. Back-to-back Haskins runs. Pulled down at the line of scrimmage by Thomas Allen. And it'll be 3rd and 5.
And now more pressure. Now staring down. You got to get a completion or it's yet another 3 and out.
There's McFadden back in the game. Saw him leave a bit banged up earlier. Good sign for Indiana. Already playing without Jamar Johnson, all-conference safety, who was thrown out of the game for throwing a punch. 3rd down and 5 for Michigan. Milton throws incomplete right out of the hands of Eric Hall. Tight end who's got so much talent but has been bitten by the drops in all 3 games.
Yeah, and a Wolverine fan in his living room just threw his remote control down. Because this is, unfortunately, a little bit of what you've seen the first couple weeks, too. Even when you get a gimme, that's a gimme. You gotta make that putt 99 out of 100 times, right? But that is just indicative of everybody pressing. Everybody, instead of owning it and saying, I'm going to do it, kind of looking for someone else to make the play, and unfortunately, you're punting again.
That's a good one from Robin. Sends Taylor back. It's over his head. Bounces out of bounds inside the 10. Heck of a punt from the senior from Westerville, Ohio. 65 yards as Indiana backed up inside its own 10-yard line.
Right, I mean, eventually we've got to give Penix a lot of credit too. All right, he is double clapping at times, but this is just pretty. That is a long, deep corner out route across the field, beating that one-on-one coverage and beating it easily. Freifogel and these Hoosiers are just having a blast.
6 catches, 130 yards for Freifogel.
This is Michigan's official sideline warning. There's no yardage penalty. The result of the play is a first down.
I mean, you seriously, Joe, just beyond any of the X's and O's and scheme and everything else, you're just in this first half feeling a team that's free and easy and a team that is just gritting their teeth and just grabbing that tight, trying to figure anything out. Right, versus a pitcher right now that is just throwing whatever he's got. He feels great about it. And this is danger zone as Indiana will also get the ball to begin the second half.
From the 27-yard line, Penix will run it for the first time. Smartly slide down with a gain of 3. 3-minute mark of this first half.
I bet you Tom Allen, who manages this game and asks Nick Sheridan, his coordinator, to really marry the offense with what the defense is doing, I think it may be time as well to start considering some of this clock and just not giving Michigan an opportunity, another opportunity, if you can, to use as much of this clock before half as you get the ball to begin the second.
And they are grinding it down inside 10 seconds to snap it.
Smart.
Run it all the way down. Here's Scott. Big hole off the right side. Inside the 15, first down. Longest run of the day for Stevie Scott.
And that's just a bust on the edge for Michigan. Okay, they're going to run a little stunt, but nobody gets outside. If the DN goes inside, the tackle's got to come outside. On every play, you've got support. You've got containment. There's a mental error. And Indiana continues to punish.
I don't know, Freifogel's getting credit for the receiving yards. He's had a bunch of good stalk blocks, too. Penix over the middle, broken up with a great play by Daxton Hill. We've touched on a couple times, starting to separate himself as a standout in this Michigan secondary.
I mean, he and Pay are their best players. And you just wonder at some point, can this kid play corner? I mean, it's really well done. That is hard as a safety to not get your body right, to not turn the receiver there. You know those officials are looking for that contact. That is just incredible body control.
Nobody budges this time on that clap. Second down and 10. Minute 55 to go in this first half. Penix hits across him, Freifogel. He's inside the 10, down to the 5. A little bit short. 3rd and 1 coming up. Brad Hawkins the tackle.
There's just your man-to-man coverage that just, once again, is all on the same level, rubbed off, and you see Harbaugh taking a timeout here. Not happy about that. You know what is coming in that formation, and unfortunately, like many things defensively today, just not executing. It has just been as good a start as they've had all season long, and a chance here before half to do just further damage.
One of the first times you've seen him work out of the pistol. Samson James, a running back. Now he's to the left side of Penix. He's got it, and he's got a first down. Daxton Hill came up to stop him, but he was able to get just enough, and it's 1st and goal for the Hoosiers.
This number 6 also indicative of this program being a little different. That's a 4-star, big-time stud running back. And he comes here, why? Because every Hoosier that Mike Hart has coached at that position the last 4 years is in the league. And he's watching Stevie Scott be an all-league running back. Different caliber of talent in that backfield.
Scott comes in for him. 1st down and goal from the 3. Couple of tight ends in the game for Indiana. The lead the way for Scott. Lowers the shoulder, then gets stymied at the 2. Cameron McGrone in there with a tackle, and it's 2nd and goal. Michigan uses its 2nd timeout. Well, tomorrow on Fox, the Panthers taking on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, or the Raiders squaring off with Justin Herbert having a breakout season for the Chargers. You can check local listings for the game in your area. Seahawks Bills, got to mention that one too.
Or the 6-1 Hawks and the 6-2 Bills. And by the way, it'll be 65 and sunny in Buffalo. About 20 degrees warmer than would have been if that game is played in Seattle. So this gorgeous weather, this sun-drenched field that we're getting to enjoy here in Bloomington will be the same in Buffalo tomorrow afternoon.
Don Brown's team really needing to hold Indiana to a field goal here. Keep it a 2-touchdown game. Remember, Indiana gets the ball coming out of halftime. Outgaining them almost 3-1. 291 to 101.
And it's been a mix, Joe. This is not just a I'm hard-headed, going to only play one coverage. They have tried to mix, but at every turn, their zone defense is not tight and sticky enough. They're not winning in man. And you got a quarterback in Penix that looks an awful lot like Marty did a week ago.
Second down and goal. They snap it quickly into the flats. That's a touchdown. Peyton Hendershot. Indiana remains perfect on the season in the red zone, and they're up by 3 scores late in the first half.
Yeah, he's just the end man here on the line, and just that same concept. 2 inside receivers, inside release. You even have outside leverage right there by your linebacker. But he gets beat across his face, and just kind of like the entirety of that defense. 300 yards in the first half, some 24 points. It's just not Michigan football, and kudos to the Hoosiers, who, as we said in the open, Joe, this isn't about wanting to believe.
6-yard drive. And Hendershot, who had 2 touchdowns in the win against Rutgers last week, has one here. Giles Jackson back to return the kick for Michigan. He's going to need a big second-half rally to avoid losing back-to-back regular season games for just the second time under Jim Harbaugh, first time since 2017. They haven't started a season 1-2 since Rich Rodriguez was the head coach in 2008. Have not lost to Indiana since 1987. First possession of the game, Hoosiers blocked a punt. It turned it into a touchdown for an early 7-0 lead. Michigan actually led that game at halftime, but it was all Indiana in the second half. 14-10 as they were able to upset Bo Schembechler and the 20th ranked Wolverines to move to number 11 in the polls, the highest they've been since. This is the first time they've been ranked that high since then. 56 seconds, 1 timeout. They're going to let Joe Milton throw it, see what he can do here in the closing seconds. So check it down to Chris Evans. Evans able to run around Taylor, who took a poor angle, and a big pickup around midfield.
At just any level of points right now. Right? That is all you're thinking if you're Joe Milton. Just move this ball and just get points. Just stop some of the tide and the momentum against you. And that's a great way to start it. As you said, a poor angle, but a really nice job by Evans at helping out his young quarterback.
47 seconds, still that 1 timeout. First down from the 48-yard line. Milton steps up over the middle, through the hands, and incomplete as Mullen had a chance to intercept it, but couldn't hang on, and it's 2nd and 10. Giles Jackson, the intended receiver.
Told you about the eyes of these Indiana corners. Mullen slides in and plays a little nickelback as well. And they're just so dangerous. A big reason why they got 5 picks. They've got incredible awareness spatially of what's going on and a feel for where that quarterback wants to throw it.
And Michigan, as rough as things have been at times offensively, still has not turned it over this year. 2nd and 10. Milton out of a clean pocket. Finds Eubanks, who couldn't bring it in. Coverage from Matthews. And then a shove from Eubanks after the play, but no flags.
Yeah, the kid they call the monster is not just a hitter. I mean, you can't throw this really any better. I mean, Milton puts it in the only spot. That is a rocket. But you see Matthews get his hand right between Eubanks at the reception point. Just tight coverage.
3rd down and 10. They've averaged about this on 3rd down today. They've gone 0 for 5. Indiana bringing pressure, in trouble, and sacked. Reese Taylor like a bolt of lightning from his corner spot.
I don't think Joe sensed this corner blitz ever. He is looking to the three-man route. He's got really nowhere to go there. And you can see he doesn't have an awareness. His running back can't take both. Evans does the right thing. You take the inside rusher first. Just a tremendous pressure. Good disguise. That may have been an outlet for Milton, but he was looking right before the shot in the back. And I'll tell you, you played those highlights at 87.
Yeah.
The big shoulder pads are one thing. The really hard AstroTurf is another. But that crew in 87 and the 80s, they played complementary football. That is why this team is 2-0, as you see Kane Womack loving what his group is doing. And what stands out to me, this isn't about just a tempo offense with a weak defense. It's not a good defense with no offense. It's got a QB they believe in, a young D coordinator that's got a group that is flying on that side of the ball. And through 2.5 games, that number 13 next to him is no joke.
Teams trading timeouts here. It was Indiana that took one after that sack. Robbins is at a busy first half. Nobody deep for Indiana. And Robbins drills this one into the end zone. That is a big leg. And a touchback. The defense for Indiana, they feel like has a chance to be one of the best in the Big Ten. And boy, after some rough stretches against Penn State, really turning it on the last 2 weeks.
Well, just active. They're active everywhere. I love the point that Tom Allen made to us that you hit on earlier. He recruits corners, and if they grow into safeties, great. But he wants guys that can play the ball. And you see that, really, at that last level of the defense. There have been a bunch of chances. And all of a sudden, that window just squeezes, and there's just nowhere to go.
Moody parks that one to the back of the end zone. Take a look at Built for Success, presented by Rocket Mortgage. Home loans that fit your life, Rocket can. How about not the hard count, but the hard hand clap? Drawing 5 free plays for Indiana in the first half. Got completions on 4 of them.
And it just frees you up, right? Quarterback, receiver, they just know it. Aaron Rodgers is the best in the world at doing it. He does it with his cadence, with his mouth. And for Michael Penix, been those big old hands, and Ty Freifogel, the biggest beneficiary with 7 catches, 140 yards in the first 30 minutes of play.
Already a career high for him as Indiana goes back to work. First drive of the second half. After they racked up close to 300 yards in the first half. They fake the swing, step up, throw long, one-on-one, and pass interference coming on Hawkins as they went up top from Miles Marshall on the first play.
Love the call.
Pass interference. Defense number 20. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
I don't love the call of the penalty. I love the aggressive nature to come right out and to go for it. And this is what's just hard to understand if you're Brad Hawkins. You're right there. Trust your skills. Trust yourself in that moment. You don't need to reach and grab. Lack of trust on the back end right now for the Wolverines.
And that is their really only experienced player back there. Second season as a full-time starter. Call for the penalty. First down from the 40. Indiana got it done mostly through the air in the first half. They'll stick there here. Failure with the intended receiver with the coverage from Vincent Gray. And an injured Wolverine.
Timeout on the field for an injury.
Yeah, it's Luigi Villain. Remember, they're already without Aiden Hutchinson. Left the game on one of the first drives with an injury. We've not seen him since. And now Villain, part of that defensive end rotation, getting taken a look at. And there is Hutchinson.
I see it right here, a little chip. And no sting. I mean, that really hurts. And it really hurts this defense right now is hopefully he can come back on the field, because Hutchinson and Pay were the two guys defensively that were the biggest concern for Indiana's offense. I think that guy, Don Brown, I think he had some emotion at halftime. If our call this week with him was any indicator.
Didn't take much to get him going this week, coming off of that loss against Michigan State. The defensive backs got torched in that game. Not much better so far in this one. First down from the 40. First run play of the half into the hands of Stevie Scott, who's pulled down by Kwity Paye.
And this goes without saying. I mean, this is a very large early third down, right? Just a minute into this second half of play. If you're Michigan defensively, you have got to get off the field on 3rd and 7+.
Indiana came into the game as one of the 10 worst third down offenses in the country. They went 5 for 8 in the first half.
I love this check with me. You're just trying to get that look of the defense, man or zone pressure. Beneficial all afternoon for the Hoosiers.
Only bringing 4. They're twisting up front, creating some havoc. Fillier breaks the tackle and reaches for a first down. They had a shot to bring him down short, but instead Fillier gets just enough, and they convert another third down.
So you begin the second half, and I think a couple of the players you feel best about if you're Michigan are Hawkins and Hill. Right? It is Hill, it is Hawkins with the pass interference, and this is a one-on-one that Daxton is one in the first half as Penix takes another little kiss, but he can't bring down Fillier that time, and the Hoosiers once again convert on third down.
Moving the ball to midfield. Fillier gets his 8th catch of the day. Back to Fillier. Needs a couple of blocks. Not going to get him. He gets a short game. And Indiana fans have heard the story by now. Whop Fillier. His real name is Mr. Elias D'Angelo Fillier, but his parents started calling him Whop when he was 7 because every time they went to Burger King, he wanted a number 1. He said, "Give me the Whopper." And his parents said, "You're not big enough to have a Whopper." He says, "I want it." So they started calling him Whop. And it stuck since he was 7.
So did the number 1.
Yeah, right. Well done. Jersey number for his favorite value menu item. One of the great personalities you're going to find in college football. 2nd and 10. Not much there for Scott, who gets 3. Fillier says, "I'm the little big guy." He said a whole lot more than that, but he described himself as the little big guy. 5'11", barely 180, so tough, so intense, biggest talker on the team.
Shocked we couldn't mic him today.
I mean, America's missing out. We got to get him mic'd at some point. We can edit it. You know, the people need to hear a lot.
Tremendous personality and another huge third down.
Indiana empties it out on this 3rd and 6. Again, just 4-man rush. That is incomplete. Miscommunication between Fillier and Penix. Coverage from Hawkins. And Michigan's defense does get a stop on 3rd down, although there are flags down way back there.
There's no foul for pass interference. The ball was not catchable. 3rd down.
It is actually 4th down. That's what Jim Harbaugh on the Michigan sideline was arguing for. You could hear a little bit. I think it was nowhere close to Fillier. And so they do get a stop here on the first drive of the half.
Jim doesn't like it. Jim didn't like the call at all. But at least they pick it up and do the right thing there. Is just a miscommunication between QB and receiver leads to this punt.
From Hayden Whitehead, Michigan came after it, almost got there. Over Jackson, bounce it inside the 10 and into the end zone. Pretty darn good punt there from Whitehead, but couldn't quite stop it. Michigan's offense back to the field. Indiana's defense, another dominant performance so far. First drive of the second half for the Wolverines after this. a flag down in the area of holding as he gets a few. The other thing is Joe Milton averages 5.5 yards per carry. Where is Joe Milton in the run game?
Yep. This is going to be a hold on the center.
Holding. Offense number 68. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
I mean, this is the damage that Indiana has done is just these stunts inside. These linebackers are hyperactive. You have to anticipate it. You can't wait and reach. You know what's coming. I mean, that's what's difficult, Joe. You've watched this. You know these linebackers are hyperactive. You know they trigger downhill. He's just not had any answer in the run game whatsoever for that movement.
So with a penalty of 1st and 20 and a throw from Milton, huge window over the middle of the field for Ronnie Bell, and he fights his way for a first down. 3rd reception of the game for Bell, and a Michigan first down and a gain of 23.
Now that's one way to counteract it, right? If those linebackers are going to trigger downhill, then throw right behind them into a huge void of that zone. And maybe it's Ronnie Bell. Maybe it's the veteran of that receiving crew, the junior, that can step up and say, put the ball on me and give me an opportunity.
The only veteran, the only guy in that receiver group that entered the season with more than 8 catches in his career. Pressure off of the edge here. It's picked up. Milton steps up. Resets the feet. Down the field, it's Bell. Ronnie Bell keeps his balance to take it inside the 20. Let's go! Answering your question, the veteran is the man so far in the second half. Back-to-back big plays for Bell.
And you heard him scream right there. Part of me thought Milton may run for this as he steps up beautifully, but instead he keeps his eyes downfield, and there is just a seed. I mean, this kid, it's not about his arm strength. It's about some of the finesse and feel. I love him stepping up, but even more so, the scream there of frustration from Bell after the huge play for the Wolverines.
52 yards, longest of the day for Michigan. 1st and 10 of the Indiana 15. Bell, a much-deserved quick breath. Milton showed off run, now looking to throw. Is one-on-one. He makes a move, dances to the outside. Cam Jones sticks with him and allows Javon Swan to bring him down. That is not an easy place for Cam Jones to be, but if you're going to have a linebacker one-on-one, you want it to be a guy like Jones, who had never played linebacker before he got to Indiana. He was a star receiver, and he looked athletic like one right there.
Sure did. Good job defensively, a little man-to-man. And that man-to-man coverage defeated both of the slants. Nowhere to go with a little of the trickery there from Milton. And you've got to get 7 on this drive.
Haskins couldn't get going. Penetration immediately. Micah McFadden the tackle, and it's 3rd and long.
Now that penetration is just killing this run game. A run game that is trying to be patient. As you can see, the McFadden clan loving Micah's effort in this area of the field. Another area where the 2-0 Hoosiers have been excellent this year. Just 4 of 8 giving up touchdowns.
On 3rd down, they bring pressure. Milton lets it fly. Diving catch. Touchdown, Michigan. It's Roman Wilson with his first career score. This freshman that they are really excited about sprawls to pull it in for a touchdown on 3rd down.
It starts with the guys up front, picking it up, just giving Milton that space, and what a beautiful route. Wilson at the top of the route, sticks it, he runs away. What an answer from Michigan. That is what you wanted if you're a Wolverine coming out of halftime.
Had to happen. They get the stop, and they get the score. And just like that, back to a 10-point game. As a native of...
It's buddy Ronnie Bell helping him out.
And the touchback for Jake Moody. As we look back at the touchdown.
Kind of cool football here for Indiana. Okay, what they decide to do is they try to bracket the big receiver here, Cornelius Johnson. But in so doing, you see the 2 Hoosiers go there. It leaves your true freshman on Michigan's freshman, their most dynamic player, and that is just a win. Right? Just some of that chess match that you go to and you think, okay, I want to take away their big receiver, right? And if I got to leave other one-on-ones, I'll trust my freshman. Well, not against a kid they really like, Roman Wilson, who wins for Milton. Say it again, man, down 17. You had to have points. Exactly what the Wolverines do.
So 24-14 game. Indiana starts the drive at the 25-yard line. Michael Penix back to throw. Looking short side. Hendershot juggles and catches. First down crossing the 40. Defended by Michael Barrett, the big tight end who's got a touchdown today. Went up and got it for a gain of 16.
And if you're the Hoosiers, you just stick to the plan, right? That's been effective and efficient today. You continue to trust Michael Penix, your quarterback, who's been brilliant. Really put the ball in harm's way just one time today. And you trust the southpaw to keep slinging it.
He's thrown it 37 times today, completing 25 of them. First down from the 41. A fake to Scott. Play action. He gets rid of it just in time. Incomplete. Got hit by Carlo Kemp. Luigi Villain, who left the game with an injury earlier, was there as well. Second down.
And he's taken a few of these today, but by and large, he's had more than enough time to operate, just like on this one. That's 4 different hitches. That's actually pretty good coverage down the field. Michigan, a whole lot closer hip to hip down the field, nowhere to go with the ball.
First down. Second catch of the drive. He gets 11.
So it's the old school spot concept that Bill Walsh and the Niners love so much. They loved it with their tight ends, and they mix people around, and all you're doing is finding a little void. You want to play bad zone defense? Then I'm going to find the green grass. My QB is going to put it with timing and anticipation and beat that zone coverage.
Hilliard coming in motion on 1st and 10 from the 49. A fake to Scott. Pressure off the edge. He throws it incomplete. And that was a forward pass, just barely. As Michael Barrett came unevaded off of the edge.
Penix gets rid of that ball quick, doesn't he?
Oh, he got a quick release.
I mean, that is some of the advantage of having a release that really is just from your ear. He's late. A good timed, well-timed blitz there from the Viper Barrett. But that ball comes out of his hand in a hurry.
Michigan still yet to get a sack today. Don't have a sack since game 1 against Minnesota. Had 5 of them against the Gophers. Second down and 10. Fake to Scott. And he'll get back to the line of scrimmage. David Ajabo with the tackle.
So yeah, I'd like a little adjustment here on these last couple series. You're watching Michigan, right? All the check with me that Indiana is doing, and you're watching Michigan a little bit late, right? Switch things around. Like on that snap there, trying to show one picture in a late adjustment. And they got Penix that time in the 3rd and long.
Penix has been really good on 3rd down today.
Michigan makes a late adjustment now, right? This is all based on what their front is. Let's see if they adjust, and they do.
On 3rd and 10, pressure again. Penix's chase, gets rid of it. Tight coverage and incomplete, but a flag. Just no need for it. There are 3 or 4 white shirts surrounding the intended receiver. And it looks like they're going to get Vincent Gray again.
It's just ball awareness. When we talk about that.
Pass interference. Defense number 4. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
We talk about that with wide receivers all the time. Can he track a football, right? Does he have awareness for it? And I see you over there, Davis, just shaking your head, because you're right. There's no need for it. It is thrown late. There's really no chance to complete it. Just have an awareness for where the ball is. And right now, these inexperienced corners, there's no Avery Thomas walking through that door for Jim Harbaugh. And these inexperienced corners are being taken advantage of.
And several 3rd and longs picked up today on penalties.
And that just empowers you as a quarterback that much more to say, hey, just throw it up.
Right.
It's either going to be my guy gets it or a penalty.
Moves the ball to the 33s. Back to throw on 1st down. Michigan getting a little more pressure. They picked up late, so an end zone shot. And Green with a coverage this time on try field goal. You want some offensive pass interference, won't get it, will settle for the pass breakup in 2nd and 10.
And there you go. I mean, that's what you're going to have to do. Right, you're going to have to go up and knock the ball away. Just the one-on-ones, the 50-50s that Freifogel won for the entirety of that first half. Not that time. And why? What's the difference? The difference is 22 turns his head so he's not dead, and he finds the football.
And Michigan has started to get a little more pressure, collapsing that pocket a little bit more against Penix. Really comfortable during the first half, much of it. Back to the ground on 2nd down. Nice cut from Samson James. On a gain of 6, it's 3rd down. The 3rd down and 4 here for the Hoosiers. Been in 3rd and long a lot, but it hasn't stopped them from being 60% on 3rd down today.
Wolverines again mixing it up here, trying to give that line and quarterback a little different look.
It's Hendershot right to the marker. It's going to depend on the spot. He says that he's got it, and it looks like he does. Another 3rd down conversion.
This was the worst in the conference, right, coming into today. 5th worst in college football on 3rd down. And you're going to see a little Y delay, we call that. You sell the block, right? You allow that rusher to go, and a nifty little throw once again with a quick release. Just beats the free rusher and moves the sticks. 25% coming into today. Now 7 for 11, a huge storyline.
With a fresh set of downs, Penix stepping up. There's a flag down, and Penix is down as another flag flies. Christopher Hinton tripped them up. We'll see what the call is.
It's going to be my big man, Caleb Jones, left tackle.
Not going to get away with much, are you? At 6'8", 362.
Yeah, he is right here. And he is a mountain of a man.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both on the offense. Holding, offense number 77. The penalties decline. Holding, offense number 57. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
You get Kreider as well.
Now, Caleb is one of those guys, when you first put on the tape, the left tackle, you're like, something's wrong with my film. Like, that guy next to him, Dylan Powell's 6'4", 305.
Yeah, and he looks tiny. First down and 20 for the Hoosiers. Penix over the middle, wide open, Jacoby Hewitt. First down and goal on a gain of 21.
And you're just not a good zone team. I don't know how much more to say it. You get enough protection here, a 5-man rush, and I mean, there's nobody within 7 yards.
It's a 21 gain of 31 for Hewitt, who gets his first catch since that huge reception. And a win against Penn State down the stretch, week 1. Indiana knocking on the door of a quick response after the Michigan touchdown. Scott straight ahead to the goal line and in. Touchdown Hoosiers. They waste no time getting back in the end zone after Michigan cut it to 10.
My big man, my left tackle, Caleb, he may get called for a holding every now and then, but you want to wash down the line of scrimmage? He's just gigantic. He's a beast. And all you got to do is give number 8 a sliver to get those shoulders north and south. That is a big, big man.
Who was not heavily recruited, despite being as big of an offensive lineman as you're ever going to find. They recruited him hoping he would be good, understanding that he would be a project, but honorable mention all Big Ten as a sophomore.
not seen here in Bloomington in a long time.
We heard it talking, every player we talked to, every coach we talked to mentioned that, how much they trust Michael Penix and how much he makes everybody around him better. Giles Jackson out of the end zone. And good special teams coverage from the Hoosiers, keeping him shy of the 20. Now Joe Milton goes back out there. It was a rough start to this game, but he started to show some signs of life on that last drive.
Yeah, and the veteran receiver, Ronnie Bell, a big part of it, giving him that number 8 in space. I love this one, stepping up into the pocket, eyes downfield. Ronnie Bell continues to run across the field for him as well. And, you know, yes, a little scramble here down in the red zone. A little juke on the linebacker Jones, but it was this shot to the true freshman to put a big 7 on the board, respond, which is what he's going to have to do with every single possession from here on out.
Pretty much doubled his yardage for the game on that first drive of the half. He'll throw it on the first drive, first play of this drive, and he's got Cornelius Johnson settling for a reception past the sticks, turns and runs for a nice gain.
Yeah, and I think the thought of that run game with 19 minutes to go now is, yeah, they're dancing on the sidelines.
Is it a wrestling thing, bringing out the chair?
That's just trying to disguise the signals or something. But Mr. Milton's got to know now that this game's on his right arm.
He's completed his last 4. Well protected here, over the middle and incomplete. Bell the intended receiver, but a flag flies. Noah Pierre in the game and coverage and going to get called here.
A little bit of a tug, right? I think had this not been called, Harbaugh may have run on the field with Don Brown.
Yeah.
Josh Gaddis going to continue to look at that play sheet. A lot of conversation here.
There's no foul for pass interference on the play. The ball was already beyond the receiver. Second down.
Man, oh man, right now Jim Harbaugh and Michigan feel like the world is scheming against them.
I think that was some pretty good conversation. However, we have seen, right, the jersey tug on the other side draw the penalty, and there was a little bit of contact even before that ball got there. I think Jim's got a right to be a bit upset.
The last 2 games, his team has had a call pretty much every time against them. Milton has all day here, but the coverage downfield is tight, so he has to try to run, and D.K. Bonham slams him down for a loss.
Really good downfield coverage. This is what you want to do to take the pass away. It's man underneath, and it's 2 safeties over the top, and you're just hip to hip. The only route that's going to beat that is possibly an out-breaking route, or your QB's got to run. Right, he's got to see that earlier and realize everybody is running away with the receivers. Maybe a time to use the legs as well for Mr. Milton.
Over 50 yards both games for Milton coming into this, but he's got -3 on 2 rushes today. 3rd down and 12. Steps into the pocket. Floating one. Blown coverage, but he overshot Bell. Oh, my goodness. 4th down. Nobody within 10 or 15 yards of Bell.
Yeah, this is one you got to punt. I mean, literally. Any throw but this one. Just throw it end over end. There is nobody. As you said, it's a blown coverage. One of the only blown coverage we have seen with no safety help over the top. And for as strong an arm as Mr. Milton has, that's got to be one you just take the fuel off and just throw a pop-up. And Bell's going to catch it and run it in for 6.
Taylor with a fair catch at the 18, and Indiana ready to go back on offense, leading by 17. Influential Hoosiers of all time, shattered racial barriers on campus and really in the sport of football. He's a 3-time All-American at Indiana. Led him to an unbeaten Big Ten championship in 1945 and then became the first African-American drafted into the NFL. The Bears took him in 1948. George Taliaferro. 31-14, Indiana in front. 3:11 left to go in this third quarter. Looking for their first win against Michigan since 1987. And their first 3-0 start in the Big Ten since the 80s as well. Barrett took a chance, couldn't get his hand on it. Instead, Fillier runs for a first down.
It certainly feels like Michael Penix going to be looking at a 400-yard day today, because these have just been easy. You're right. The Viper there tries to pull the trigger. He tries to make the play. But in so doing, there is just more green grass. A lot like last week with Lombardi, just feeling so comfortable attacking this secondary, right? Attacking this group in the passing game. Penix has done the same.
Look to throw again, taking a shot this time, down the field, incomplete. Freifogel with the coverage, and now flag flies. Or Green with the coverage on Freifogel. Green shouting that this should be on Freifogel.
Yeah. Pass interference. Offense number 3. The penalty is half the distance to the goal. Repeat first down.
Well, clearly that's a good call, but Michigan fans are sitting there just holding their breath, waiting for the call to go against them.
Yes. Every time you're throwing it up there, you're just, unfortunately, because that's what it's been the last couple weeks. Now that is, look at the field position here, the significance of that offensive penalty. Offensive PI in particular has been in the shadow of that goal line. An opportunity here for Michigan defensively.
Makes it 1st and 24 for Indiana. Try to get a chunk of it back. Stevie Scott, big hole. Cut down by Daxton Hill. But a gain of a dozen, and it's 2nd and 12.
This is where the benefit of maybe all of that throwing, right? The 40-some passing attempts starts to actually benefit you. That defensive line that's already without HarL'son, who's had to try to rush for those 40 snaps, the ball out quick so many times. An opportunity for those big fellas to put their pads on that front as well.
Offensive line, they feel like it's gotten better and better over the first couple of games of this season. Their biggest challenge yet against this Michigan D-line. 2nd and 12. Penix back to throw. All day to scan the field. Deliver for Fillier. Hill with a nice tackle, and it's 3rd and 4.
Here's your money down. Right, 1st and 20-something. You get it back to a very manageable 3rd and 4. And these are the downs and distances over the next 16 minutes, where if you're going to end a 24-year streak, it's going to continue to win this down as they've done today.
4 to choose from on the wide side of the field for Penix.
Lots of talking to those Michigan defenders, trying to figure out in this bunch that more than likely going to be some man beaters. How are you going to pass that off defensively?
4 to choose from, and just 4 defenders over there. He's flushed off his back foot, throws incomplete. Michigan able to get home as he tried to lay it off to Hewitt. Pay and Welshoff both applying pressure, and the punt team comes out as Pay limps his way off.
And you're going to see that pocket just collapse here. You know, we give all the credit to the big man, Caleb Jones, but the line stunt there just perfectly timed. The worst part of this, as you said, is Pay limps off the field, but man, was that a well-executed stunt at a time you had to win on 3rd down.
Already lost HarL'son today. Pay limped his way off there. Taken to the 24. Jackson slips the first couple. Giles Jackson trying to get to the corner. Angled out of bounds by Bjorson. Nice return to the 36. Michigan back to offense. They've shown signs of life the last couple of drives. Had a chance here at a big play, but overshot.
They sure did. And what you're going to watch here is the clear route. Okay, this was the clear route. This was not within the route. This is a 3rd down, and I guarantee you the route was to be here. And Milton sees this behind, but he throws a rocket because I don't think he knows for sure. And what I mean by that is you're throwing that in cut or something that's within the route, that's fine. But when it's an alert and it's a clear like that, and it can be sometimes you don't ever want to throw late down the middle, right? So I put a little bit of steam on it. And unfortunately, it was just too flat a throw, or it would have been 6.
8 of 19 today. Over the middle again, incomplete. A shot downfield for A.J. Henning, the true freshman. Coverage from Jawan Burgess.
So you go right back. We've seen the post for a touchdown. He nearly had another post, I think, over 15 minutes. You're going to continue to see, right? There is no Jamar Johnson, a huge loss, booted out of this game in the first quarter. And you're going to see them continue to test Burgess and Matthews and crew.
They run it on second down, and a short gain for Chris Evans. They have had absolutely nothing doing on the ground today. In fact, Michigan now just 19 yards on 17 carries.
Well, remember a week ago, 12 runs for 1 yard or less. He's not winning football. I mean, you're just not going to win many games against quality opponents, and Josh Gaddis knows it. He's got freshmen up front, he's got an experience up front, and he's getting really no movement at the point of attack.
See if they get one more snap in here in the third quarter. 3rd and 7 for the Wolverines, down 17. Pressure coming from Indiana. It's picked up, so Milton has time and a first down. Nick Eubanks across the 40. Big time 3rd down pickup to bring this third quarter to a close. It's 21 yards for the most experienced player on this U of M offense. Eubanks, the tight end. And as we go to the 4th, Wolverines on the move, down a bunch. Start the 4th. Michigan on the move for the first down at the Indiana 39. Really, the offense has been better in the second half. It's just, do they have enough time? Milton goes to the short side of the field. That's Charbonnet out of the backfield for a short gain. D.K. Bonham takes him out of bounds. And it's second down.
I do think you have enough time, but you got to score on every possession. That's got to be the mindset, because you know defensively Indiana's been able to possess the ball a whole bunch more. And these margin for error very, very slim.
Second and 6. Fake to Charbonnet. Milton steps up. He'll check it down. Charbonnet again. He's got a first down inside the 25 to the 21. Back-to-back receptions for the sophomore running back from California. This one for 14.
I'll tell you what I like. I like Milton stepping up in the pocket. A lot of young quarterbacks, and just his 3rd start for Joe here at Michigan. A lot of young quarterbacks panic, right, and they get flushed. But he knows what he is a big, strong guy, and I love how he climbs the pocket right there. We've seen it a number of times. He's done damage when he's been able to step up into that pocket.
And I think that's an important thing you mentioned to remind ourselves of. 3rd career start for a guy who has high expectations, but learning on the job. Floats one for the end zone. Ronnie Bell, touchdown! 3rd touchdown of the day for Joe Milton. Finds Ronnie Bell, his first of the season, and Michigan back to within 2 scores.
I love this route concept. It used to be a hitch cornerback in the day, and now it's a hitch fade. All the space, all the green grass for Ronnie Bell. And it gives the quarterback so much room to just make any throw away from that DB, and that's one of the country's best in Mullen. But you see Bell attack the ball, and a little bit of touch from Joe Milton, giving Bell the opportunity to get it.
Ronnie Bell has stepped up today, hadn't he? I mean, you asked, is the veteran going to be the guy to start to do it? That's his 5th catch for 132 yards. And a touchdown, his first of the season. The Wolverines, so it's down to a 10-point game as Indiana gets it back. And there was no winner last week, so tomorrow, Fox Bet Super 6 giving you another chance to win $1 million at Terry Bradshaw's money. And you can play for free right now. Download the Fox Bet Super 6 app, make your picks for Sunday's games for a shot at $1 million.
Well, this is where Michael Penix's personality has got to also just continue to illuminate and grow on his teammates. They all say the same thing, poised. Nick Sheridan said it doesn't really matter the circumstances. He never loses his cool. And the team responds to him, and right now that's more important than it's ever been in this game. Got to continue to be calm, cool, and collected.
342 yards through the air, second most for an Indiana quarterback in this series. We're going to let him look for more here. Floats one into coverage and incomplete. It hung up there for an eternity, and Hawkins went up and got his hands on it but couldn't pull it in.
It's a little bump in the pockets, and this is one that's got to just be checked down underneath. Never late down the middle of the field. A little bit of that tug, and this look at the 3 Wolverines back there. It's nearly a punt.
Hill saying, no, that was my ball. Oh, it was going to be like catching a punt for Daxton Hill. Of course, Brett Hawkins doesn't know that, but man, oh man, that close. 2nd and 10.
It's one of the first real misreads for Penix all afternoon. Had 2 open checkdowns underneath and forced it.
Only thrown 1 pick this season. They'll look to throw again. Back-to-back throws with his 10-point lead and back-to-back incompletions, making it 3rd and 10.
That was just a slider.
In the dirt.
I think Wap lost his shoe, doesn't come out of the break, but that ball down and away. And how about these circumstances? And this is why you fight and you battle, and games are decided in the 4th quarter. Because here's an awfully big 3rd and 10.
Talked about it all day. Indiana's been dominant in this situation, even 3rd and long. They're 7 for 12 on 3rd down today. Michigan bringing just 4 with a twist. Penix throws incomplete. Freifeld to the intended receiver. Coverage from Daxton Hill, and it's a 3-and-out pitch by this Michigan defense.
And here is a little bit more aggressive man-to-man coverage. That bunch set, they've seen it all day long. You see them respond. Right, there is no air there. Earlier in the day, just on their heels, a little bit of wonderful tip there. So even if there was a pull from Green, that tip from Hill eliminates it. It's a big, big 3-and-out.
Whitehead to punt it. Fair catch. That ball hits somebody and ricochets down inside the 10, out of bounds. I couldn't tell in real time, did that hit a Michigan player? I know Jackson was calling for the fair catch, and it just pinballs its way about 30 yards.
I think it hits a Hoosier right off the helmet.
And so it will be spotted where it hit that Indiana player. Back in a moment at a 10-point game.
It will be Michigan's ball, 1st and 10 at the 35.
All right, so the main thing is they go to review, they get it right, and Michigan will have the ball down 10 with 13-13 left. Joe Milton, who really struggled in that first half, went 4 for 13, is 8 of 11 with 2 touchdowns since the break.
And his guys up front may not be getting any push in the run game, but they've been doing a nice enough job to give him air in the pocket to step up. A big, strong-arm kid. Inexperienced, but if you give him space to operate in the pocket, that's where he's been the most dangerous and effective, really, in the intermediate game in the second half.
Drive begins at the 35 with a straight drop from Milton, who's pressured. He slips the first man and has a man come loose on the sideline. There's Cornelius Johnson. First down. You know, Joe Milton was really good against Minnesota, and then he described himself as jittery against Michigan State. I think he looked kind of jittery in the first half of this game, but has started to settle in, looking more and more comfortable as it's going on. First down from the 47, he looks to throw again. Clean pocket again. That ball's thrown on the right to a defender. Jalen Williams, the interception. He's got one in all 3 games. He's still interception of the season thrown by Milton. His return 36 yards. And just when it looks like he's settling in, right into the arms of the junior from Memphis.
Yeah, usually that's my analysis that leads to that, Joe. Yeah, this is just the corner, and I don't think Joe sees him. He's trying to throw a hole shot that's going to end up short, and he just totally loses track of Jalen Williams, who never loses track of him. I've talked about those corners and their eyes to the backfield. Right, that was a cover two, so he's up front, he gets the press coverage, and he pushes the route outside, and I just don't think Joe ever saw him come back into that route. 23 doesn't miss. He could take one off the ear hole on the punt.
Yeah.
But he took that one right away from Joe Milton.
And not just the first interception thrown by Milton, but the first turnover by Michigan all year. This has been a staple of Indiana early on, taking advantage of these takeaways. Here comes Scott with a gaping hole. First down inside the 15. Daxton Hill tripped him up.
And that's just a nice job of combo blocks right at the line of scrimmage. Look at that, the little dual block from center right guard, left tackle. And this is the advantage of having a 230-pound finisher in the fourth quarter.
Longest run of the day, 14 yards for Scott, who's over 60 on the afternoon. And a touchdown versus a field goal here would make all the difference for Indiana. Trying to go back up by 3 scores. First and 10, it's Scott again. And it's 3 or 4. McGrone is there with Barrett.
And it just felt like, you could almost look at the body language of some of these defenders, right, who got the 3 and outs, who just set the team back up, and then, the wind comes out of the sails with that interception, and they're put right back on the field. And complementary football where your offense got to marry with your defense, and when it doesn't happen, in the offense critical turnover, you must respond.
Scott goes out. James comes in. Indiana with a 2nd and 6 from the Michigan 10. It's James. Lowers the shoulder and brought down by Barrett to set up 3rd and 2.
We got a lot of time left, right? College game is a long game, going to be a bunch of possessions. But you said it at the start of this series, the difference between a touchdown and a field goal. If Don Brown's sudden change group can just hold these Hoosiers right here on 3rd down to a field goal, it just makes an enormous difference over the final 10 minutes.
3rd down and short for Indiana.
And they like this end zone.
This is where they pulled off the overtime win against Penn State. It's James. He reaches forward. Hawkins hit him at the line of scrimmage. Was the lunge enough? They're going to spot him a little bit short. They may draw a measurement. No, he didn't get a very good spot there. It's 4th down and less than 1. And no question here, if you're Indiana, right? You got to go for it.
I agree with you. That is a tough spot because I don't think James goes down before he lunges.
A good tackle by Hawkins. A good effort by James.
The ruling on the previous play was the runner was down short of the line of gain.
4-yard line.
The play is under further review.
And it's 2 feet more than what you currently have.
It's just so rare that you see, even if it's 2 feet, it changed in replay as far as a spot. They're going to check, though.
I think this one is not that difficult because you clearly see where he is and where that ball goes down, right? Sometimes it's hard. Is the body part down? Is the elbow down? I mean, this time, kind of like these lunges into this end zone, right? You're going to see him lunge. Tremendous body control by Samson James. And that ball has got to be scooted forward from where it sits right now. Right now, it just basically sits on the 5-yard line.
Yeah, just past the 5. And this looks more like just shy of the 4.
Correct.
So what? That's like a football and a half length?
Yes.
Which may still be short, but it's going to make it a lot closer if they do change it. And it may be enough. I think it would definitely justify a measurement if they do move it. Time to check in with our rules expert, Mike Pereira. Good to talk to you, Mike.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It's 4th and short.
See, that's the thing. You rarely see those overturned or changed, Mike.
Yeah, you rarely do. And it is, when you look at it, it is short. The elbow is the first thing that hits, and it is short of the 4-yard line. So technically they could have moved it up, but even then it would have still been short, so they leave it as is.
Yeah, and it makes it a 4th down and less than 1, and the offense will go out on the field. They work out of the shotgun. 0 for 1 on 4th down this season. Watch that clap. Straight downhill. He's got a 1st down. Hurdling his way over the line of scrimmage. 1st and goal for Indiana.
Can he just move? Can he get any movement at the point of attack? That is what defines these 4th and 1 opportunities. You know your big back's going to give you everything, but watch the movement here, right off the ball. You win that tug of war, right? You just give those blades of grass, and you give your, again, 230-pound stud junior an opportunity to get that weight moving downhill.
230 and jacked. 1st and goal now. Michigan no longer biting on that clap from Penix. Drew him offside so many times in the first half. From the pistol, it's Scott. 2nd and goal. Stop made by Brad Hawkins, and it's the same challenge for Michigan. Still in front of them. If you can hold them to a field goal, feel pretty good about this situation. 3 for 3 in the red zone today is Indiana. Touchdowns on all 3 trips, and on the season they've scored in all 15 trips into the red zone.
They typically pay off those takeaways. Big reason why they beat Penn State. Big reason why they're number 13 in the country today.
Love their tight end Hendershot down here. Lined up to the right side of the formation. Inside the 9-minute mark. 2nd and goal for Indiana. Penix to throw. Into the end zone, incomplete. Over the head of Miles Marshall, and it's 3rd and goal.
Ooh, and he had a touchdown. If he gets off his read and he throws it to the bottom of the field, he had his buddy Wop wide open.
You know, Wop's going to let him know about it, too.
A lot of traffic down there. We can try to throw that route in between all those bodies, but here we go. Huge play.
Wop comes off for this 3rd and goal. Michigan's defense get one more stop. Keep it a 2-score game. What does Indiana go with on 3rd down? Back to the ground. Stays in. Touchdown. They punch it in on the ground.
What do you go with, Joe? You go with manhood right here. You go with your center, your captain who you love, and you just demand of those big guys up front to win. To not get penetration and just to knock the Wolverines back. That is an O-line statement. That is a phone booth statement. That is like they love to do and get the 2x4s out there and just go man on man and who's going to push who off their spot. And the Hoosiers get it done.
Are you ready?
Important extra point here. Makes it a 3-possession game with 8:40 left to go. My mom's belly. Yep. Getting ready to come out, though. Here I am. From the 25-yard line, Milton will dump it off to Blake Corum. And Corum, the dangerous freshman, crosses the 40. A gain of 21 in the first play of the drive. Still 8:32 to go. It's a 3-score game, but still a lot of time left.
And those are the touches, right, that we were asking about. Where are those touches? Where are those gimmies? Where are those easy completions? With about 8 minutes to go, they finally get it into their running backs, most explosive running backs' hands.
From the 46, it's Corum again. Michigan fans getting excited watching this kid play. True freshman out of Marshall, Virginia. There's a flag down, though.
This might be a late hit on Michigan. behind the throw.
Penalties haven't been as big of an issue today as they were over the first couple games, but there have been some key ones.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, offense number 52, 15-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That is Carson Barnhart, who's making the start today with all the injuries they've got up front, and it erases a gain of 7.
You're going to see this. I don't think it is the ragdoll job that he does. I think afterwards pounces on Ziemba, tosses him here, and I think he continues on and then just drives into Ziemba while he's on the ground 30 yards behind the action.
Pressure coming out of the secondary. Milton gets rid of it just in time. Across the 40, Cornelius Johnson, as Devon Matthews makes the tackle. They get a chunk of it back.
This obviously becomes a substantial factor right now. It was a week ago. Right, the final drive against Michigan State, you score a touchdown, but you took almost 5 minutes to do so late in the fourth quarter.
You need a lot more in this case. Down 17. Milton wide side of the field and incomplete off of the hands of Roman Wilson. And it's 3rd and 14. Talon Mullen, the injured Indiana player. As they take a look at Mullen, want to remind you that college football continues all day here on FS1. Texas Tech and TCU facing off next, and it's Baylor and 17th ranked Iowa State. Washington State and Oregon State finishing the night off 10:30 Eastern, starting their seasons. Pac-12 getting going today. Don't go anywhere. College football all day here on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Penix, 342 yards passing. Hoping that his defense can hang on to this 17-point lead and give Indiana yet another one of those landmark moments. They go 5 wins, 8 wins over the first 3 seasons under Tom Allen, and now trying to start 3-0 in Big Ten play for the first time since '88.
It's a good sign to see Mullen walking off the field. And just speaking of Penix, I'll say it again. Indiana's had some good quarterbacks. Some guys have gone on to play in the NFL, put up lots of yards. Just don't know if I've seen a quarterback that elevates the entire team. Remember Sam Ehlinger a week ago, right? And Tom Herman was talking about that. Just the belief that he spreads to everybody. That is what, through 8 starts at 7-1, he has just created that belief, not just in his huddle, but I think the entire program, and that can be a game changer.
3rd and 14. Milton for Bell and a first down and a perfect strike. Ronnie Bell's big second half continues with a gain of 17.
Yeah, you see the anticipation and confidence. Watch, this ball comes out, and there's no hesitation when he's thrown to number 8. Right, a lot of the other freshmen and the young guys, I think, still work in progress. But Milton's confidence factor when he throws Bell's way, all-time high.
150 yards for Bell on the afternoon. 7 minutes in a 17-point game, 1st and 10 to the 41. Milton scans the field, finds a crossing Giles Jackson, who gets punished by Williams.
That's that same Williams character that had the pick earlier, same coverage. Watch him right at the top of the screen. Look at the eyes. Right, he's seeing this the entire way. He's coming in. He sees the routes coming. And not only can he pick it, man, he can stick it. He likes to hit as well.
Clock still running on 2nd and 4. Out of the backfield, Charbonnet is wide open. He's got a first down. Out of bounds. 6:23 to go. Cam Jones the tackle.
You said it. Every second becomes precious at this point. Right? At 6:23, the clock started to run. Look how much time here. You really would like to get the play called and get to the line of scrimmage and get going here.
You mentioned it, the touchdown drive down the stretch against Michigan State last week. They did some nice things, but it ate up way too much time. And ultimately lost by 3. Pressure coming. Milton has a wide open man out of the backfield in Charbonnet, but didn't get rid of it. And they're going going to say that it's a fumble and a recovery by Indiana. Taiwan Mullen blitzing from his cornerback spot, drills Milton. That many guys come, you're going to have somebody wide open, and he did, but couldn't find him.
Joe, look how far Taiwan Mullen comes from. Okay, this is a corner blitz that is that far from the slot. This is not off your edge. And he never shows. There's no tell whatsoever. The inexperienced Milton has no idea that ball and that hit is coming. Now, is the arm moving forward?
Under further review.
Really close.
Real close, and absolutely worth review. I don't know if there are tougher pound-for-pound corners in America than these two Hoosiers. So Mullen slides in, plays nickel. That's why he can blitz there. But Mullen and Williams out on the outside, 170 pounds, 175 pounds, and they flat out bring it. And Joe, I don't know if that arm is moving forward as you see 175 on 245 with a full head of steam.
Yeah, I don't think you can overturn it. Calling the field as fumble.
I think you'll get to see his big brother tomorrow. You've got the Raiders and Chargers, and Trayvon, I know, is at home saying that is a fumble. Mike Pereira, what say you?
You know, I say that I've just listened to us all go, well, I think it might be a forward pass, the hand. You're talking about the hand with control of the ball, starting forward. You know, it's one of those that's really close, and you need to reach that standard to reverse it. Basically 100% clear and obvious. And again, like I say, I think it might be, but it's so close. I just hate to see replay officials get too technical to reverse when they shouldn't have. And if it was me, I would not have.
They do reverse it and keep Michigan's hopes, however small, alive with 5:57 to go. 2nd and 10. Pressure coming again. Milton backpedals and throws incomplete with a flag down.
It's going to be a hold once again. Ziemba, the DN, is pointing to the referee.
Holding. Offense number 68. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
Andrew Vistardis, the center.
That's a couple times now, and you have said this. They just keep coming. They don't stop blitzing.
When you talk about the corners being tough, a lot of the guys on this defense tough. What a great marriage of toughness of players and scheme and the way the game is called by Kane Wommack. Aggressive from start to finish. And coming off of the corner here and getting home, it's James Head. Sacking Joe Milton back at the 40.
And this is the one element they've not gotten a ton out of. Right? And if they can do this, and if you can win, and it's a backup tackle in Carson Barnhart, who's filling in today for the injured Ryan Hayes, but if you can rush 4, combined with all that pressure, you become so potent and dangerous defensively.
3rd down and 25. Rushing just 3 this time, so Milton has time to size things up downfield. Now gets Chase. Heaves it downfield, and it's picked off by Matthews. 2nd interception of this 4th quarter by the Hoosiers. And with 5:05 left, they've got the ball in a 17-point lead, and they can smell it. It would be their first win over Big Bad Michigan since 1987.
And I think Tom Allen with maybe one of the best formed tackles of the afternoon. Joe, this stadium would be going bonkers as the rest of Bloomington is right now around us of 17 with 5 to go.
Indiana back on offense. A run for Stevie Scott, and then after the interception, how about this hit?
I mean, I think this is targeting. Right, watch the launch.
Yep.
Right to the head or neck area. I mean, here you go. A little closer look at it. I mean, you're going to see the launch right there.
Yeah.
I mean, right to the head or neck area.
He's defenseless. You can't defend yourself.
Flying off. I mean, that is a linebacker right there, right? The former linebacker himself. And truly, when you hear people say, gosh, I just love my teammates. I just love playing for my teammates. I love my coach. And you heard those players scream it, Joe, and it's real. It's real. And college football breeds that in the locker room, man, of a bunch of just selfless dudes that weren't highly recruited. Some of them not recruited at all. How about the middle linebacker, Micah McFadden, that was going to go to Toledo? You know, the left tackle that we've talked about, Caleb Jones, didn't really have any other offers.
C.V. Scott, who's the active leading rusher, he chose Indiana over Rutgers. That was it. Those were the offers for him. Scott's got it again here, and it's 3rd down. Tom Allen's in his 4th year as the head coach. Longtime high school coach in Florida and in Indiana. Then he was an assistant at 6 different college programs over a 9-year span. He went from D3 to NAIA to the FCS level to SEC football, coaching for a while at Ole Miss, before coming to Indiana as the D coordinator for a season, then getting the head coaching job. And they know what they've got. They knew it even before this season, and extended Tom Allen through the 2026 year.
And I think one key, right, when you've not been a big-time major, and you could see him continue to tell his guys one more stop on defense, is you also have to hire tremendous coaches around you. And as we sat yesterday with Nick Sheridan and Kane Womack, the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, young guys that know what they're doing, right? That is such a critical part, too. As you see Nick Sheridan, the former Wolverine right there, who's done a phenomenal job with this offense.
3rd down and 3 with 4:53 left to go. 3 straight carries for Stevie Scott and a 1st down for Indiana. You talk about those young coordinators and hiring guys that are good fits and bring energy. I mean, both Nick Sheridan and Kane Womack are going to get their opportunities to be head coaches somewhere at some point.
Look at Kane right there. That's what the offense on the field. He knows. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Joe, but that was just a great look right there. He knows. He's engaged, not just caring about his defense. Oh, what are my stats? What are my defensive guys doing? It's like he's the O-line coach. He's so engaged with what that offense is doing. That's phenomenal.
Clock continues to run. 1st down and 10. Back to the ground. Scott submarines forward for 5. How about the powder blue? He's still loving it, huh? This is the D coordinator with the offense out there grinding the clock. And that powder blue, Brock, pays homage to Phil Dickens, who's the coach in the late 50s, early 60s at Indiana. Dickens wanted to change the brand. Indiana had been horrible, so he said, enough of the red, we're going to go with some light blue. 1958, they debuted the powder blue jerseys. Start 3-0 in the jerseys, but then Dickens' boys have to go on the road to Michigan. Well, Michigan's saying, we're wearing blue. You can't wear blue. Dickens' boys wear white, but he has them wear light blue shirts under the white jerseys. It was rainy. The light blue shirts bleed through, so by the end of the game, they were light blue, and they beat Michigan 8-6. One of the 9 wins in Indiana's history over Michigan. Wow. About to become 10 today. And he just wanted to have a way to be able to stand out as he delivers signals for his defense. Last year he had the highlighter type soccer goalie shirt. It was literally got it from the soccer closet. And he said, I got to do something a little better than that. So, pays homage to some of Indiana's history wearing the light blue.
Well, the reason he loves what he's seeing is this is all want to. Kind of like that 4th down right down at the goal line. I mean, this is defining stuff. This is Michigan you're going up against. This is Michigan that has had your number for 24 years. You shouldn't be able to 4-minute drill and run it right at Michigan. That is why Kane Womack is excited over there as D coordinator. And if they get this one, you're going to watch that sidelines explode that much more.
3rd down and 2. Heavy dose of Stevie Scott just leaning on him here. Final few minutes. Scott's up to 90 yards on 22 carries. Scott one more time. Stop short. Josh Ross and Brad Hawkins. 4th down and about a yard. How about Michigan? Michigan about to fall to 1-2 for the first time since 2008. You know, they lose last week to Michigan State. People call that the most disappointing loss under Jim Harbaugh. It was disappointing at the time. And then you see Michigan State lose to an 0-2 Iowa team today, 49-7. And you have to ask the question, how good is Michigan? I mean, how disappointing is 1-2, or are they just a 1-2 type football team?
Yeah, they are certainly in search mode for identity, and this is going to keep them searching that much more.
Going to move it one more time. Scott's got a first down. They can break fourth and a foot. Keep on turning to the 40.
Wow, look at that sidelines. I mean, they just feel it and they love it. I mean, look at it. That's defensive linemen and receivers. That is everybody. I mean, this has been, Joe, this has been pretty convincing. Right? I mean, this isn't just beating Michigan on the last play of the fourth quarter. This is in nearly every metric. You stuff their run, you run it. You throw for a career day. You take the ball away a couple times. Right? You do excellent special teams. I mean, this is a complete win.
Held Michigan to 13 rushing yards. They hadn't been held under 50 in 7 years. Indiana runs that clock down, calls a timeout with 1:48. Time for our smoke and clear of the game, sponsored by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. What's your beef? Michael Penix, 30 for 50. 50 times today. 3 touchdowns, no picks, 342 yards, a new career high.
And I think he's going to watch this tape and go, this was good, but there's even more. And that is what is incredibly encouraging. I got away with a few throws that could have easily been picks, but he gives his guys chances. They all believe in him, elevates everybody around him. And, you know, it's not just talk. We come into these programs and we sit with coaches and we meet with the players, and yesterday was so cool to actually talk to Michael and the WAP and to these different coaches. And it's just, you know, it's not coach speak. It's not, oh, we're selfless. Oh, we love each other. No, it is definitively real. And it makes a tangible difference between the white lines.
They've been so close in recent years. But Indiana's MO has been close, but just not quite enough to get over the hump. Even last year, they win 8 games, but they lose 3 games in the final seconds. Lost to Penn State, to Michigan State, Gator Bowl to Tennessee in the final seconds. Came into this year committed to being different, committing to finishing games. They did it overtime against Penn State. They've controlled this one, and now look at this moving forward.
Well, I know Urban Meyer said last week at the set, this may be the second best team in the Big Ten. I think when you beat Penn State and Michigan, I think you are the second best team in the Big Ten. Now, Ohio State on the road may be a little different animal. Handling success and playing Michigan State and taking care of business next week, that too will be a challenge. But just as far as a complete team, Joe, that can marry offense, defense, special teams, and knows who they are and what they want to be, it's the second best team in the Big Ten right now.
Get their first top 10 win since 1987, week 1. They had lost 22 of 23 to Penn State. They won that game in overtime. They start 2-0 in Big Ten play for the first time since '91, and now on the verge of their first win against Michigan in their last 25 tries. October 24th, 1987. It's the second longest streak in a series in college football. The only one longer. Indiana's lost 25 in a row to Ohio State.
Hey, Bloomington, go crazy, because you got a football team to be crazy for.
Another landmark win for Tom Allen and the Hoosiers. They beat Michigan for the first time since 1987, and they do so convincingly, 38-21. And 3-0 in conference play for the first time since 1988. There's a pretty good chance they're going to be looking at a top 10 ranking. If they get that, for the first time since the 1960s that they've been in the top 10.
So there is something positive about 2020 after all.
If you're a Hoosier fan, there's plenty. Michael Penix, career day, 30 of 50, 342 yards and 3 touchdowns.